Okay, here we are.
Okay. Now, basically what I'm going to be talking about tonight is the American Court of Equity, okay? See, most people don't realize that you are the court. You're the judge in equity here in America. Now, nobody else. You are the judge. So when you go into court, you're going into court. You are the judge in court of equity. So basically there is two courts taking place in that courtroom. One is your court of equity, and the other is in some cases, a counterfeit court, and especially if they're bringing charges against you, criminal charges, okay? Because you need to look up the definition of criminal in the dictionary. And basically only a sovereign can bring a criminal charge against a person. Okay? So the question is, and see, this is where everybody's been messing up going into court. They ask who the injured party is. Injured parties are only in civil actions. They're not in criminal actions. Okay? In a criminal action, it is the sovereign. Your question is, which sovereign is the one that's bringing the charges? The sovereign of the land or the counterfeit sovereign? The Jezebel that's coming in there and trying to put a false charge against you. But you stand in the court. You do not sit down. You sit down and you have just arrested yourself. What does the bailiff say? All stand for the judge. Well, they were standing for you, too. But they took their place in the cemetery. Now, you sit down and you just took up a cemetery plot also. You just buried yourself. Okay? You stay standing. You're the court of equity. And you're the judge in your court. But you have to get them in and basically find out who is bringing these charges. What sovereign has the right to bring these charges against me? I revoke all alliances to a foreign counterfeit sovereign. Therefore, if it's a counterfeit sovereign that's bringing the charges against me, they have no jurisdiction over me. Mm-hmm. Now you've had to break one of the real laws of the land, sovereign's laws, to be prosecuted. That there is no real valid prosecutor in there because they're all bar members. You are the true bailor in the process. From your court of equity, you bailed your items over. You have a right to come in under accounts rendered, and this goes all the way back into the book of Leviticus and the book of Deuteronomy, and even in Exodus, all of them, Numbers. It's all in there if you know what you're looking for. It's reiterated again by the New Testament, by the parables that were put out by the man named Jesus. And I won't go into dissertation on who he was because too many people have the totally wrong understanding of who he really was. But the same scenario is held by all the other prophets that are in the Old Testament, reiterated in different metaphors. The one in the New Testament that is brought to play is basically the bad servant scenario. When you understand that, basically, you now see what these counterfeit bar card courts are doing. They're the bad servants. They're supposed to be in a servant capacity to us. But we have to come in and establish the fact that we are the judge in our court of equity. And we're the standing court. They're a sitting court. You have standing. They don't. That's why they're sitting. Why do you think they have a podium in, like, Judge Judy's court? It's basically so that the people can come there and stand as a judge in equity. But they don't know that that's what they're supposed to be doing. You can make the determination. Now, this document that I put up here, this American Court of Equity, the lawful standing of this Court of Equity is the first part. That's pretty self-explanatory, I think, in the way I've got it written up there. Then we go into the analysis of the case before the court, because the case is United States versus United States, all capital. American equity rights versus civil debt charges. Or I'm working up on a document to send to the U.S. Marshals, a writ of execution. Sovereign, and basically I'm putting on there case number 1, United States versus United States. Sovereign of the land versus counterfeit commercial sovereign. And basically they are a counterfeiter, they're a bankrupt. That all capital United States. They have taken our, under counterfeit securities, our bailments, and claimed that they're the bailor. So they're a quasi-bailor, they're not the true bailor, and placed them on deposit with the Federal Reserve Bank, who is basically acting as the bailee. Now, these judges are supposed to be a ministerial bailiff. They're supposed to be the priest in the tabernacle. In the book of Leviticus. See, people read that, and basically they read the word cattle. To bring a cattle into the tabernacle. Well, I think not, okay? That's not really what was taking place. If you wanted to butcher an animal, you'd go out somewhere out away because you didn't want all the flies and everything else around there. Come on, people. Think about this a little. Cattle was basically a contract. Then you further read, it was either a bullment or a sheep. Wait a minute. How can a sheep be a cattle? It's not. It's just a different type of contract. And then later on, when you get into Deuteronomy, in the Jezebel temple, you're now talking about goats, scapegoats, fraudulent contracts. The Jezebel temple was not allowed into the de jure tabernacle. But here in America, ever since 1871, the people have just stood aside and let this counterfeit government take control. The bankers slip in and take control. They did not support the few representatives or the people that were trying to help them. They never asked the question of what was going on. Why? Why is it like this? Why do I need a driver's license? Why? Where is it called out in the sovereign of the land laws? It's not. It's called out in the counterfeit commercial sovereign laws, which really do not apply to you unless you volunteer into their system. And you can unvolunteer at any point in time. You fill out this document and you get that sent in. You can do this in any court action right now and stop them dead in their tracks. You demand all of your accounts rendered. Accounts rendered, not cattle rendered or pig rendered. Accounts, your contracts. You purge yourself of all your false pledges and oaths to a counterfeit, commercial, flag-waving piece of shit. You go to the sovereign of the land. The U.S. Marshals have to defend the sovereign of the land. They're not there for the protection of the commercial, counterfeit commercial sovereign. But they need to have a job to do, so basically they're giving protection to them right now because nobody's calling upon them to do their real job. We have to start standing up and start knowing what we're really supposed to be doing, okay? You are an American court of equity. Your courthouse is your house. In the county, the township, and the state where you are. If you have your old rural route number and number on that route, that is your courthouse number. Mine is 27. Chicken County, Van Buren Township.
I'll call you in a minute.
And that is basically the court of equity under the sovereign of the land. And basically, when you revoke all of these counterfeit items in open court, now they, in their system, are left with a one-sided counterfeit document. They try and claim that you're counterfeiting their documents. So if anybody's ever been charged with a bond or something like that they tried to write, okay, you were trying to write it in good faith, thinking that that's what you had to do. But you were wrong, okay? Now, you cannot be prosecuted for being in by doing a mistake. To do an error, yes. And see, that's what they're going to try and claim, was that it was an error and that they can come after you because you're harming their counterfeiting system. Just like Al Capone. They took him down because he was running against the counterfeit commercial government enterprise. See, you're attacking that counterfeit commercial sovereign. You have to get over there under the sovereign of the land. Now that counterfeit cannot attack you, otherwise they're going down. And if we need to, we will call in the Hebrew Mossad to bring in the old laws into place and go after these guys. Read what it says in the Bible about these counterfeiters when they're called on the carpet and they do not comply. The pharaohs all lost their firstborn because the Hebrew women caretakers of the young stopped nursing and stopped caring for the young. So they died of starvation because the pharaohs didn't know how to do all that stuff. But see, you've got to look at what's really taking place. Then you go into the New Testament about the bad servant. What ended up happening to the bad servant? It wasn't only him that was thrown in jail. It was his whole damn family. When these people cause you harm, okay, for both the Old Testament and New Testament, especially when they're operating in a counterfeit scenario, you have the right of self-defense. I've said that before. That has brought out the Secret Service to come and see me because they knew I was right. I do have a right of self-defense. And I will defend the sovereign of the land against this counterfeit commercial sovereign that is causing harm to the land. We don't have to put up with this, but you have to know how to handle yourself in court. Okay? You order that court to make the settlement, or you pull all of your accounts rendered off the table. You take the equity away from them. They're only trying to get a counterfeit charge against your equity. Stop giving it to them. stop being the equity also in their scenario of being under their jurisdiction. You revoke, you purge yourself. And see, in your court of equity, you can pardon yourself. This is the unpardonable process that nobody has an understanding about. You're the only one that can pardon yourself out of this system. Okay? So you've got your lawful standing, you've got your court, and then you give your analysis. You have your rulings and orders of the court of equity, and you can rule that all foreign contracts are with the belligerent bankrupts are revoked. And now, when you have revoked your side in your court documents, now they are left as the sole counterfeiter in the process. Now you can file charges against them in this process of contempt of court against your court. And basically, people have gone into jail for contempt of court and been there for over a year. There is no contempt of court. Well, you're going to be there for 15 days or you're going to be there for 30 days or whatever. It's up to the discretion of the court. So now you can issue arrest warrants for contempt of your court. We will see whether these things all get taken care of. They better start being taken care of, or else the people are going to start revolting. And the U.S. Marshals should be siding with us on this scenario. Because they're the ones that are really supposed to be working for the sovereign. The Secret Service was supposed to be there to prevent counterfeiting. And when we have taken our, as a co-conspirator in the counterfeiting off the table, now that counterfeiting document is standing in the hands of the counterfeiter. The state or the United States foreign corporations, copyrighted corporations. I told you to look up what it says about bailiff in Anderson's dictionary. It's right there. Now, when I tell you people to look up something in Anderson's dictionary or one of the dictionaries, I expect you to go and pull those damn pages up. Read what it says. Get an understanding. Print it out. Highlight it. Don't just say, oh, well, I know what that means. I'm sick of hearing that. You don't. You have to get action. You have to basically go and do something. Show that you're alive. Okay? You have to get more than just one of your senses in play. That's why I've told people to go out and talk to yourself in the mirror. At least you're looking at something, and basically then you're getting speech and you're hearing yourself talk back to yourself instead of just hearing yourself talk internally to yourself. That doesn't register. You have to get those sound waves to come in through the ear. You have to get visualization of what's going on. That is the only way that you can get a full and true comprehension of what is really taking place here. I've heard all these people about the Bible. Oh, yeah, I read the Bible, but have you ever really analyzed what the Bible is really saying? Going from one place and doing a comparison of it, like to the New Testament. What is the correlation? The New Testament didn't come to change any of the old laws. It came to reiterate them in a different format. But the same laws are there. Under parables or under metaphors in a different time frame. And that's what you have to do, is look at the comparisons at the different time frames of what the people were going through and what the prophets were trying to tell the people in different metaphoric conditions, to see that the people were understanding that a contract here is a bull here or whatever, is a goat, is a sheep, whatever. That's all that this is.
No, stay with me.
It's just a different means of trying to get a better understanding. We go in and we put the rulings in, okay? You have your United States counterfeit securities. You have your state of wherever counterfeit securities. You have a foreign Church of Rome counterfeit security. And basically they also utilize that certificate of live birth because they came in as a foreign creditor. Just like the Federal Reserve banks, the bankers out of England, the banking temple in London town. It was the bankers that set up this copyrighted United States for-profit corporation. And then they started attacking the people's bank. They initially did it with the postal system under postal savings account. But basically, too many people weren't using the postal system as a banking system out there, so they shut that down, and they forced everybody into all of these subcontracts, these counterfeit securities. And see, since they have the hammer and they're controlling the legislatures now, they get away with the counterfeiting, but only to the extent that we have to be a co-conspirator in the counterfeiting. You have to volunteer into their system. They've done it by different pledges and everything else out here, getting you to make a pledge of allegiance under the 1892 or whatever Pledge of Allegiance, under that socialist utopian pledge, to swear an allegiance to a damn stinking flag that is not that is an ever-changing flag, because you had a new state and basically it's now changed. So what flag did you swear an oath to? A changing flag. You want something that is rock solid. The flag that Adam and Eve had. The coiled snake that says, "Don't tread on me." That was referring to the bankers, to the deceivers. You don't tread on me.
Look at how many foreign treaties the supposed president has got us into. That's completely illegal.
Don't worry about that. You worry about what you can handle, okay? You worry about the things that really you have no damn control over, okay? You have to first get control of your court of equity and your bailments, your accounts. That is what you're going to be held accountable for, is your accounts. Okay? Too many people out here are worried about everything under the sun, and they won't take the responsibility to learn how to protect themselves and their assets.
That's your rebuttal in court.
No, you have to basically think a little more about this. Read that document. You do not get into an argument in that court. You basically say, which sovereign is bringing the charges against this American judge, equity judge? Because in a criminal scenario, it has to be brought by a sovereign. So, which sovereign is bringing the charges? It can't be the sovereign of the land, because there is no criminal charge for speeding down the highway. Is there? The United States of America does not have a speeding limit, okay? Only the counterfeit commercial sovereign, state or whatever, has a speeding. But they have to get you under a volunteer system to have a driver's license with them, because you're the driving dead. They're a debtor or a dead system. And they get you to try and become the debtor. You're not the debtor. You are the one that holds the purse, the equity. But they tried to take it away from you under false pretenses. You have to come in and rebut that with your court document here. You get this dated and signed and everything. Now you've got them. You file this in with the Supreme Justice for the circuit. Like I was telling somebody, okay, we're in 12 circuits. How many houses were there in Israel? 12. The 12 tribes. Everything is based upon a 12 system in this scenario, okay? 12 grades of school, education, 12 houses of the zodiac. But yet, there is also the threes, the tribunal. And when you sign this document, you're signing it as a tribunal court. Your autograph as the father. And then your two witnesses as your right and left index finger, your outer extremities. You have now basically put yourself into a tribunal situation. You've not boxed yourself in, but you have triangled yourself. What does the little keyhole always look like? It looks like a triangle. You're the key holder, okay? You're the one that can make the key work. In the movie Matrix, okay, you had the one who made the key, but he could not insert the key or turn the key. That key was specially made for Neo. Neo was the one that had to put it into the slot and turn it. He was the one to turn on and make the system go. At the end of the movie, he was able to find out that he was also the one that could shut down the system by taking the virus to ground. When you turn the key, the source of power is sitting there in a stored unit. What does it have to do? It has to come through you who are controlling the on-off switch. And where does it go? It goes back to ground. Then the engine of the car will work, or whatever. But you are the judge. You make the judgment call to turn the engine on or to shut it down. That is why we are the equity judge in America. Only we can make the engine run. And see, he had to go to the source. And all circuit boards are plugged into the source of power. So that's why we were going to, this last document, I sent it into my Supreme Justice. And the other thing is, a justice is not a judge. A judge is the one that sits on the bench. So all of these people that we've been out here calling judges, unless they're on the bench, they are just justices. And in actuality, they are judicial, ministerial bailiffs at our disposal to our court of equity. Read what it says about bailiff. Ministerial. When the people took their contracts as bullments or sheep to the tabernacle, okay, for Aaron and his cohorts to basically do a rendering of them, it was the people that had to come in and bring it in. So you're the holder of the key in the process. And then, basically, what were they called? What was Aaron and his cohorts called? Priest. temple priest, ministerial servants. At the Church of Rome, it is the Vicar General. Is a judicial, ministerial bailiff. But a judge is only a judge when he's sitting on the bench. Stop giving them the title of judge when they're not on the bench. They're just a justice, a judicial, ministerial bailiff on there. And we come in good faith, okay? Not goodwill, good faith. You can look up that one in Anderson's dictionary. Good faith is lawful. Okay? So we come in lawfulness in trying to make a settlement. In America, under this system that they've got going on right now, it is he who benefits, and this is also a maxim of law that dates way the hell back, that he who benefits is the one who has to pay the bill. Make the adjustment. Now, if this was your equity to begin with, is it a benefit to you? No. To have somebody else holding it? No. It's a deprivation. Because now you're at their mercy.
That's a very good point.
Yeah, and see, in this case, both the United States, who is a quasi-bailer, okay, or the state, or the utility company, they're the quasi-bailers in the process. The Federal Reserve Bank is the bailee. They're holding our bailments there as collateral. They're also benefiting from the process of holding that because they can turn around and write bonds and everything else against that because we've given them permission under this system that is out here.
Yeah, we come in there lawfully. We're foreign to them, but we come in with full faith and credit. Full faith and credit.
Okay, just sort of hold off on your thinking process. Just listen to me for a while, okay?
All right.
Okay. And then when you get when I get done here, then tomorrow you'll listen to this thing again. The next day you might want to listen to it again. Maybe twice that day. Okay? You don't listen to this and just think that you know everything that I'm saying here. Just like that document. You need to read that over. You need to type it out yourself. Okay? Tom put it up in a Word document for you for ease. Okay? But you really should try typing it out yourself. Let your fingers do a little walking for a change. The whole way through, down the whole path. Instead of trying to jump in the middle of a race and just throw your stuff into it, okay? You're not going to get the full benefit or the full understanding by doing that. Now, like I said, you go into court. You go in there and you stand. Okay? You do not sit. And you basically, you ascertain the thing that you need to ascertain. You don't get into an argument with them. Which sovereign is the one that is basically bringing the charge? That will stymie them right there in their tracks. Because you know that there's two sovereigns here. One is a counterfeit sovereign, and the other is the sovereign of the land. And like I said, the sovereign of the land, they don't have laws on the books for all this stuff out here against the people or the equity judge. You. You have a right to do whatever you want to with your equity. But you should not place it in bondage. So I try to tell you people not to do bonds. You do bonds, and basically you're now, and especially if you're still operating under the counterfeit commercial sovereign, under their jurisdiction, yeah, you're going to go to jail. Because now you're counterfeiting their counterfeit shit. Trying to run against them. That's the only reason that they can bring a criminal charge against you. Like drivers, speeding ticket, no insurance. A criminal charge? Come on, people. All these people should have been figuring this one out a long time ago. And knowing that there's two sovereigns in this country. One is that sovereign that basically is sitting at the Capitol steps or at the 10-mile square in Washington, D.C. Do they really have control over all the highways and byways? No. It's not their roads. It's our roads. They belong to the land. They don't belong to this counterfeit commercial sovereign. They have just tried to claim them, and we allowed them to claim them. So when you go into court, you stand, and you demand to know which sovereign is bringing this criminal charge against you. In a mortgage case, you basically order the court to basically have this account rendered. Same thing you would do, and basically if you've got this court document that I posted up here done, you can give a copy of that to the court. Put it into the record. Say, I have purged myself. Now you can't basically bring any fraudulent charges against me because I am not under one of your counterfeit commercial sovereign citizens. I'm under the protection of the sovereign of the land. And I hold the equity, and I demand, I demand my property be returned immediately. And that is a paramount right of immediate possession. If you look up the word dominum, D-O-M-I-N-I-U-M, directum et util or whatever, UTILE in the dictionary, and it's in Black's dictionary. It's also in Valentine's or Anderson's. I can't remember which one. But basically, it tells you right there that you are the one who has the right of ownership. All of your stuff basically has been completed, okay? All of your contracts have been fulfilled. All you need to do now is come and get them out of their possession. Direct and beneficial ownership, complete ownership and possession in one person. Compare Droit. A lot of people have tried to use the Droit process, but I think this one has more power to it because it's beneficial ownership, the enjoyment that basically was called out in the Declaration of Independence, your right of enjoyment. And you're the beneficial owner while you're alive. And you have an inheritance from Mother Earth, the sovereign land of America. We are the owners, okay, during our lifetime of our inheritance. The corporations can own nothing. They can only get us to volunteer and hand things over to them, just like the pharaohs back in Moses's and Joseph's and all the other Hebrews back there in their time. They operate by deception to deceive you from your assets, just like going out to Vegas. Those casinos are there to deceive you, to con you out of your assets. And they will wear you down. And that's the same way that these courts do. They will wear you down until basically you turn around and you put another bailment up to try and get out of jail. Because you didn't know that you had the power all along to take this thing to ground and shut it down. To make them go away, disappear, run for their hole in the ground. You carry your big stick and you walk quietly. The old Teddy Roosevelt scenario. It wasn't to go out there and what he was referring to was not carrying the big stick, walking through the woods, smashing the snakes that he was going to run across. He was talking about carrying the big stick to keep the bankers and the other deceivers in their holes. We all badmouth Mr. FDR. But yet FDR probably knew and understand the Bible better than most everybody out here today. He was setting certain things up in the outright out of the Bible, but yet he was still trying to maintain the protections for the people when they understood what was in the Bible. And that's about the time that basically old Truman had him terminated. Because he didn't want to drop the bombs on Japan. And the Church of Rome was controlling that issue to have those bombs dropped, but they really weren't dropped. They were detonated from the ground. And basically just phosphorus bombs were dropped from the plane. But that's a total another story. See, most people don't read the story. They only hear the play or whatever that's put out there, the masking over.
Yeah, they couldn't get an atomic bomb to detonate while it was in movement. It had to be stationary because the shaped charges have to all just go off perfectly.
Yeah. Okay. Now, anyway, we completed an hour, so go ahead and open it up to questions, and I'll take some here.
The audio departed from the Skype conferencing call, so I came on the phone. I only missed probably the last 5 minutes. Hey, I can read the last paragraph of Bailey Baylor. It's pretty helpful if anybody needs it. Out of Anderson's.
Anderson's, yes.
I'll read it.
They can go and look it up themselves.
Yeah, it's good to look at, especially the last paragraph. You can't find the word Baylor. You have to look under Bailey, and it explains Baylor under Bailey.
No, you look under bailment.
Yes.
In Anderson's dictionary, and basically it addresses in bailment Bailey and Baylor in the whole definition of bailment.
Right, that's what it is. I just saw Bailey on the other side of the page there. Yeah.
And then bailiff is all by itself in the process.
Right.
Okay.
The last paragraph's like the important one.
Well, the whole thing is important when you really look at what's going on there.
Right.
They're hanging on to our bailment, and they're getting pleasure out of it. but we're the owner.
Yeah, and we have to come in and claim the ownership of it.
I mean, I'm going to take that back now.
Yeah, well, last time we read it like a week ago or more, and then you have to reread it and refresh yourself because it's...
Yeah, see, the Justice Department was the ones that were originally put in charge of the bailments, okay? The Attorney General, okay, in the Justice Department. He was one of the key trustees in the initial setup of the system. This was under the United States of America all the way back at the beginning. You had the Postmaster General, you had the Attorney General, and you had the Secretary of the Treasury. Okay? Those were the three key trustees over the bailments. So, under the present system, the judicial system is still the one who is the bailiff put in charge of something. So the courts, these bank-authorized representatives, are sitting there, and you have to order them to make the settlement for the mortgage. You have to come in and renounce and say, I want an account rendered of that mortgage. against my certificate of live birth bailment. And oh, by the way, I want a complete account rendered of my bailment under that certificate of live birth. Then I also want this one over here. I want them all. Okay, let's get the hell out of the system. But see, it's these bar attorneys are basically the ones that have the control over our counterfeit scenario of our bailments. Where did your certificate of live birth have to be processed through?
Probate.
It had to go through court. Forget probate. It had to go through court, okay?
That is court.
It had to go through the bailiff, the judicial ministerial bailiff, the justice priest in the tabernacle, a servant in a superior ministerial capacity. That is what a bailiff is. An attendant who preserves order in and about the room where court is being held. That's all that damn supposed fraudulent judge is doing. They're trying to maintain control in that courtroom. You have to come in as you are the judge in that court.
You got to demand full disclosure too, because what we have now is a theory. We don't really.
No, I'm disclosing it to you right now, okay? Is this not a disclosure to you right now?
Pat, I believe everything you say is the absolute truth, but one must never assume you can say in the court that I think that all the indications are.
You know,
but
there was a movie out here that I watched the other day, okay? It was by George Strait, okay? And basically he's playing this guy, Dusty, in this movie. And he's sitting there and basically the father of this girl that he's fallen in love with basically is sitting across the table from him. And he's rambling on. Basically, then old George says, yeah, I think so. And basically the old man jumped all over and said, you know, that's the damn problem in this country. Everybody thinks they know, and that's the damn problem. You've got to stop thinking you know. You've got to know, is what this guy said.
Right.
Okay? So you know before you commit yourself. Okay? You don't think you know that you're right. Okay? Otherwise, you're not going to have good foundation. You're standing on quicksand, and you're going to sink right out of sight.
Yeah, Benny Hill said, assume is make an ass out of you and me. Assume me.
The guy also had another good deal in there. You know what that little white speck on top of chicken shit is?
No.
It's still chicken shit. Okay? You've got to expose things for what they really are. Okay? You've got to know and understand. And the way you expose this is basically you have to know who can bring a criminal charge. You're not looking for an injured party. You're looking for the sovereign. Which sovereign is bringing this charge? The true sovereign, because there is no law in the books, and I'm operating under a true sovereign, or this counterfeit sovereign, and I revoke all allegiances to this counterfeit sovereign. So now this counterfeit sovereign can't bring a charge against me, because he's at the mercy of the de jure law of the land sovereign. They are a guest in our country.
Wouldn't you say the main point is, in court, you say, I don't want to be the enemy of the state?
You basically say, I come in good faith to make this settlement. But first, I need to know which sovereign is bringing the charges against me, because I have revoked all allegiance to a counterfeit sovereign, and I only owe allegiance to the United States of America. Enough said. Shut the hell up. Let them backpedal. See what type of dance they want to do. You might learn a new step or two. But see, that's the problem. Too many people want to try and explain things in court other than understanding who they really are. You only think you know, you really don't know.
No, you never want to explain things in court. Your paperwork's supposed to do that. Start explaining things, you lose. They ask you a question, you say, I'm not an expert in the law. You're supposed to be the expert. I'm not going to tell you.
No, wrong scenario, okay?
Well, it makes you sound, yeah, okay.
See, you don't know who you are when you're playing that damn game. Now you're playing games, okay? This is no time to play games. Either you know the rules of the game or you don't, okay? The rules of the game are you get out of being a counterfeiter, of being a pledge under their system.
Okay, let's go back to that story, Pat, where you said, what's his name went into court with some kind of stuff, and the judge says to those guys, well, you can do it yourself.
Yes, the bankruptcy judge said, you can do this yourself. Now, what was he doing? The document that I just put up there, that is do it yourself. Now, you hold your own court, your court, because you are the court of equity in America. You're the judge, jury, and prosecutor of your equity. You're supposed to be the master of your account. You don't hand your account off to somebody else and expect them to protect it for you.
Pat, did you read that thing about that? It was like 4 parts. I think the guy's name was Judge Dale, who is retired.
He's a fucking idiot, okay?
Well, anyway, I want to know if there's any truth. He said to go into bankruptcy court with your birth certificate, but have a full accounting of it, like from Fidelity or a stockbroker or something. And then
what am I doing right here? Okay?
Same damn thing.
Yes, okay. But this is more powerful, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And then you send it to the Supreme Ministerial Bailiff or your circuit, okay? You're operating on a circuit board, okay? All this is about electricity. You're the electrical one that allows the current to flow, and it has to go through you to ground. Okay? If you don't put the key in and turn the key, then basically it is not going to properly operate. But you can also come in and take something else to ground and destroy that part of the circuit. And that's what Neil did when he allowed Mr. Smith to basically come into him, and he took Mr. Smith, the bad part of that circuit, and took him right to ground and grounded him out. He basically self-destructed.
Now, are we taking this into a court, a district, United States court?
You can send it into the state Supreme Court, Justice, Ministerial Bailiff. You can send it into the Vicar General, Ministerial Bailiff. You send it into your local district bailiff, chief judicial ministerial bailiff. You can also put a copy over to your district bankruptcy judicial bailiff. Let them all know, and then go to your to the source of where that circuit board is plugged into with the Supreme Judicial Ministerial Bailiff, and put them on notice.
I've heard people put paperwork into the archdiocese, and they got out of the system. They sent it to the I can't remember the name.
Send it to the Vicar General in the Archdiocese of New York. Okay, that's basically where our Sessa Trust is being held, is with the Federal Reserve Bank of New York, and it's being controlled out of the St. Patrick's Trust Building in New York City. I've said that all along. Okay.
Yeah. That's very powerful.
And then you can issue contempt of court. Read what the definition about contempt of court's all about. What is a contempt? Read what it says about good faith, and then also read what it says about bad faith. They either operate in good faith, or basically they're operating in bad faith, and bad faith, you can press charges against them.
Or good
as a contempt of your court. Okay? The servant, the bad servant. Okay? The master forgave the chief servant. The chief servant turned around and did not forgive a lower servant for something. He held him accountable. He threw him in jail. Well, when the word got back to the master about what transpired, what happened to that servant? The chief servant. He not only got thrown in jail, but he was trying to pocket his own back pocket because he knew that his time was getting short. But not only did he go to jail, but his whole damn family was thrown in jail.
You talking about a judge?
I'm talking about the parable in the New Testament.
No.
Okay? And yes, basically these guys in the parable, these judges and their whole damn family can go to jail. Especially when you find out that the judges are padding their own damn back pocket.
Yeah, did you read
Because
about that?
who is benefiting from that judge patting his back pocket? His whole damn family is benefiting. And he who benefits has to pay the piper. Okay, is there any other questions from anybody else out here? I want questions. I don't want arguments here, okay? Or dissertations in this regard. Do you have a question about what needs to be done?
Yes, Patrick, I have some questions. I was across the room listening. Actually, most of them have been answered. But what we send in just these 6 pages. And
You what?
We send in the 6 pages, the one fax cover sheet and the five pages of the case itself.
Yes.
Right.
You sign, date, seal it, and everything, and then you scan a copy in that to your private records.
Right.
Now, you send a copy of that in, either by fax or whatever, into those judicial ministerial bailiffs.
Okay, not just the Supreme Court, but everybody. We don't depend on the Supreme Court passing out the orders to the other courts.
Yes, I would get it out to all of them.
Okay.
Okay? I've got them all listed there. Okay?
Right, you do. And you answered the church in New York because you had brought up D.C. a couple of times. Now, at the state level, we're hitting the Attorney General and the...
No, you go to the state Supreme Court, okay?
Yes, I've got that. Supreme Court Justice, Chief Judge...
And then they would go to the Attorney General's office.
Okay, they would handle that. Right.
They're supposed to. They should if they're a judicial ministerial bailiff, okay?
Okay.
Get this, I sent a private letter to the Attorney General here in Missouri, and I got a letter back from a contractor saying that he only takes care of public interest things, and my letter was about public interest.
But you weren't coming in as a court of equity, okay? So you didn't have your proper standing, okay? You haven't got a court document. And that's what I'm giving you is a court document now that can issue out orders and demands. I was close on this about 3 or 4 years ago, okay, because that's where I really started with that tribunal seal that we had.
All right, you said a court document. What makes it a court document? The fact that you entered it into the court, or your format?
The fact that you issued it from your own court of equity.
Then it's a court document because of the wording, correct?
No, it's a court document because basically you have made it a court document because you're the judge, okay?
And the other party recognizes
the other party is just a priest, okay?
Basically.
Yes. Read the Bible, okay? Read the document that I posted up there. I don't think you've read and understood what that document really says.
Now, Patrick, do I understand what you were saying, that in that list of certificates that we want rendered accounts on, we can include criminal cases? We can include court cases?
If there's a charge or something like that that's out there, yes, you can list those down, everything that has a bailment attached to it.
And we can add our utility accounts to that? Or do that later on the thing I discover later. part of
You
it.
can put an order in to that utility company to basically that you're ordering them to do the set-off, okay? They're the beneficiary of usage of your assets, okay? You have to know what I told you about how a corporation functions. They have no money at the end of the year. They have to borrow. Who do they borrow from? Us. Okay? So they're getting the beneficial usage of our assets out here. And all that we have to do is say, hey, you either set this thing off or I will file criminal contempt of court charges because I just gave you a court order to set this thing off.
Okay. Now, one other issue. Is the driver's license and voter card somewhat like the passport, that even though it may be expired, it's still being used by the state? I just moved. I'm just being moved, so I should include those documents because I was in Ohio, Nebraska, and Arizona, and I still have some of those documents, so I should turn those in too.
If you've got them, yes, but otherwise you don't need to load everything down into that document. Just go with what you've got at the present time. And I told you, you said that I had added the word in there that any other items that we come up with, okay? So when they show up, you hand them over at that point in time.
Okay, so that we just add the key ones here, and then we add all the other details later when they show up. Okay. That's what basically was my question. Include it now or include it later?
Yes, don't bog the whole thing down with little small items, okay?
Well, I've got my documents written, and I've gotten some of that in there, but not all of it. From what you're saying, maybe I should take the other two states out and wait until they show up to give that to them.
Yes, because basically they can do an account rendering because everything basically is tied or attached to that Social Security account.
Right. Okay, so I'll remove some of the smaller stuff from the other states. I'm ready to go, I think. I'm going to read it a couple more times, but I'm ready to go.
Okay, any other questions out here?
Pat.
Yeah.
Tell me this, would you put it would be stricken in black ink or would it be in blue ink?
Would you say that again?
I said, would it be in black ink or blue ink?
When you sign it in blue ink.
No, I'm talking about the court document. Would we put that in blue or black ink? The reason I'm saying this is because generally...
It's your damn document, Bill. It's your damn document. Are you playing tiddlywinks in a commercial system, or are you playing out here in your real life? You can handwrite this thing if you want to, okay?
Okay.
You can write it in pencil if you want to, okay?
Or purple ink.
It's yours.
Yeah.
Okay. You make the call. Okay? I'm not going to tell you.
No. I was just because because I realize certain things in blue ink versus black ink makes a difference.
No, it don't. No, it don't, really. Okay? Most of that is all garbage put out there by the blue ink manufacturers.
I'd like to make a statement.
Go ahead.
The Postal Union, it's worldwide, and its treaties brought down Hawaii because first the postal went in there, and then the United States got in through the postal system. Now, when we go into a court, they're all foreign to us. We're an enemy on their ship deck. Now, if we come in as a postmaster, you can do shit to us. So that's why you put a postage stamp specifically on your documents.
You can do whatever you want, okay?
But thought I'd throw
I haven't seen one fucking deal that basically putting those post stamps on there has accomplished yet. Okay?
Uh-huh. That's interesting.
Yeah. We put them on everything under the sun out here and have gotten shit out of them. Okay? But now when you start coming in as you are the judge, here come the judge. Here come the judge. Basically, they're going to run like hell. Because you're the true judge. They're a phony judge, a counterfeit. And you're the true judge of equity. You're the holder of the equity. And they've only tried to lay claim to it. And you can substantiate your ownership over that asset, that bailment. When you read the definition about bailment, it says right there, when the third party shows up who happens to be the true owner, then basically that bailment has to be handed over. Especially when all of the time considerations and contract considerations have been fulfilled.
But you know, the unique thing about a bailment is one party is using another's without consideration, but they get the enjoyment of the ownership.
No, you've got to look at what it says about embailment, okay? Either the bailee or the bailor is getting the benefit, the bailee is getting the benefit, or both the bailee and the bailor are getting the benefit. Now, you're not getting any benefit out of this. It was your asset to begin with, so basically you're not the bailor. That's the problem. We thought we were the bailor. No, we're not. They took that under a counterfeiting scenario, and we handed it over to them under that certificate of live birth, that driver's license, all of those counterfeit securities. They came in, and now they're claiming that they're the bailor, that they're just a quasi-bailor. They're not the true bailor.
I got you. Mm-hmm.
Okay?
It's making sense, Pat. It's making sense. I'm just... I know exactly what I got to do now.
Okay.
All right. So that's hitting with your local court, your district attorney, your U.S. attorney, your attorney general. Shoot, you put out about 10 to 15 different letters.
You don't have to quite go that far, okay?
Shoot, look here, I ain't leaving a stone unturned. That's what's been messing us up. We haven't
put it into the key ones that I have addressed there, okay?
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
We all got to listen to the call a couple of times, too. Look up all these definitions. I mean, it all helps.
Say what? Repeat that a little bit.
Said listen to the calls a couple times and look up the definitions a couple times, and it'll start to sink in.
Yeah.
That's what we got to do. Our brains are sponges. It takes a while to soak it in, you know.
Oh, that religious group. You want to send it to the Nasium. He's the guy to get you out of the system.
The Vicar General.
Hey, let's give Patrick a break and listen to our own and study and talk amongst ourselves on the group, you guys.
Right.
Gone way more than an hour. He's gone like, hour and 45 minutes.
Yeah, listen to this one. Go and listen to the one from Sunday night, too.
Yeah, Sunday was
Okay.
real good. Monday's real good.
Well, Monday really wasn't all that great. Sunday, and then when you understand this court document and see, basically just looking at it, the document that I was doing and addressing on Sunday was only part of the issue. We had to turn it into a court document, but our court of equity document, so that we could have a ruling and see we're the only ones that can pardon ourselves. Okay?
Yeah.
None of these other courts can pardon us. They don't have the authority to pardon us.
Yeah, the
Okay.
Sunday called it a very good job on expounding on the analysis section of this court document.
Well, as a precursor to setting the stage for this, yeah.
Yes. A minor question, Patrick. We're sending it to a bunch of people. Does it make any sense to make a CC list, or are we just basically impressing everybody by the fact that the original is sent to the Supreme Court?
However you want to do it.
I'd say if
Okay.
you put a CC on there, they'll all think somebody else will take care of it.
Good point. Where we
Look at
sending it
how I told them to take care of it. But
Yeah.
I'm still going to turn around and send a copy to that. And I did that today. Sent a copy to the bankruptcy judge and or bankruptcy judicial minister, bailiff, and the chief district ministerial bailiff.
Well, I'm going to scan my document, fill up my ink cartridges, and print a bunch of copies.
Okay.
Isn't there a special court with the name claims in it too?
Small
the
claims.
There's a whole bunch of courts out there, okay? I send to every court out there, okay? They don't give us jurisdiction because basically we're sitting out here as you are a counterfeiter, so you're a criminal. So the courts, and then you're also operating in a foreign jurisdiction, so the American courts are closed to you.
Key point.
But the only court that we have to really be concerned with is our court of equity. And when you claim and can prove the fraud and you take your assets off the table as a account rendered, and that's what was in the Bible, basically, to rendering, and basically they come in and dissect the contract, cut away all the bad stuff, and give you what is lawfully good. Okay. Anything else quickly?
I think this is done it, Pat. I'm ready to do.
Okay.
I see this.
Talk to you guys later, then. Okay. I'm out of here.
Thank you very much,
Nice
Patrick.
dreams.
Okay.
See you on the other side.
Okay.
I'm talking about little weeds.